Hello, welcome to your structural bodywork session. How you doing today? Okay. I hope by the time you leave this session, you feel even just the littlest bit better. My name is Calliope, and I'm going to be taking a look at the structure of your body. We're going to do some testing to see if there's any weakness, any restriction, any pain in the way you move at all. And if so, then we can target that and we can ideally make that a lot better. Do you have any questions before we start? Okay, so we are going to begin with a little active range of movement testing. So how we're going to do this, I'm going to ask you to do some different movements, and we're going to focus on different parts of your body, but overall get a sort of comprehensive view of how your body moves, right? Okay, so first let's start with the head neck relationship here. I am going to have you just follow some of my movements here. We are going to just turn the head one side and back to neutral. Turn to the other side, back to neutral. All right, so if you could just give me a couple of easy turns here. I'm just going to watch how your head and neck move, if there's any restriction, and do let me know if there's any pain at all. Okay, so now if you could look up as high as you can and then look down as low as you can, so almost like you're trying to touch your chin to your chest. If you could just give me a couple of ups and downs. I'm going to look at you from one side and the other. Okay, last movement for the head and neck. If I can have you tilt your head to one side, like you're trying to touch your ear to your shoulder. Tilt head to one side. Tilt. Tilt. Keeping your shoulders still. Yep, just like that. And just tilt back. Back. Good. Okay. So tell me about how that felt. Any pain, any weakness? Did you feel any specific restriction? Okay, so now let's do some shoulder movements. I'm going to have you just hike up the shoulders real quick. Bring them down. Hike them up. Bring them down. Okay, so bilaterally they are coming up and down, nice and easy. Can you roll your shoulders back? Good, just back like that. Okay, and how about forward? Just like that, forward. Excellent. Can you put your hands down by your side? Bring your arms all the way up so that the backs of your hands touch. Just like that. Okay, bring them back down. Can you bring your arms all the way up above your head with your palms facing outwards? Okay, good. Good, bring them back down. Now can you try to go backwards as far as you can? Excellent. Now can you take your thumb, put it behind your back and try to go as high up your spine as you can. Taking your thumb bringing it behind you, putting it up as high as you can. One arm might be a little more flexible than the other. I've got a good space about that I can reach with this one as opposed to this one. Okay, I'm just going to take a look here. Okay, and the other arm. Excellent. Okay, so elbows. We're going to do some rotation in and out. So if you have your elbows out in front of you and your hands parallel to the ground, I'm just going to show you we're going to go outwards. Okay, keep your elbows right at your side and then come back in. Out, in, out, in. Excellent. And how's that feeling there? Okay. Can you give me some ups and downs then? Flexion and extension. I'm just going to take a look at the joints here. So, right, definitely looks like there's no hypermobility here, which is good. Okay, and any pain, weakness, restriction? Okay, now let's move on to the rest. So we're going to do down, up, down, up. Might get some crackin and creakin. Okay, and then in and out. And roll. One way and the other. Okay, can you go ahead and do this again for me? Okay, we'll keep an eye on that one. So now can I have you put your hands on your hips and rotate one way and the other. And if you could do this just by moving the trunk, not by twisting your hips, but just the upper body. Okay. All right, we got some good movement in there. Good. Can you, with your hips here, we're going to move your upper leg one leg at a time, go out and then back in. So you pick up the leg, move it outwards, bring it back in. Okay, how about the other leg? All right, now can you lift your upper legs up? Good. Just a couple times. Okay, how does that feel? All right, can you kick the knees out? Or rather, kick the lower legs out at the knees. Bring them back and forth like you're swinging. Okay, ankles now. Can you bring your feet up? Down, in, out, roll them inwards, roll them outwards. Okay, any pain, weakness, restriction with that? Okay, very good. So I want to bring this back to your wrists here. So I definitely noticed, I'm not sure if you did, but your wrists are not extending as far as they should be. Now, if I take your hand and bring it back like this, is that painful at all? Does it feel weak at all? Okay, let me take the other one. And is that painful or weak at all? Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of passive range of movement testing as well as some muscle strength here. Let me show you what that entails. I am going to be moving your hand and your wrist in certain positions. So just like we did with the active range of movement, I'll take your hand and also support your arm, and we'll go up and down, up, down, just like that. We'll go to the side, the other side, where I'm doing all the work. You're just letting it happen. Then we'll do some rotation, go in and out. We'll just be doing all these different directions to assess the range of the wrist joint here. And what we're looking for is trying to figure out, is it that we're dealing with pain or weakness, which we would see happening with an issue with the agonist of the arm if we're doing extension? Or are we dealing with restriction, which is where we bring in the antagonist, which is going to be in the anterior of the arm. So this right here is extension. This right here is flexion. So we're flexing the wrist, extending the wrist. We're extending the wrist out, flexing the wrist in. So on extension, we have the muscles that are actually making it happen, and that's right in here. These are your extensors. This is the posterior arm. We have muscles like extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis as well, the extensor carpi ulnaris, and the extensor digitorum. So agonist means that that's the prime mover muscle. That means that they're the ones making the action happen. The antagonist job on this anterior part of the arm, this is going to be muscles like the flexor carpi radialis and ulnaris, palmaris longus, flexor digitorum superficialis, and profundus, all in this area. Their job is to essentially keep the arm steady and help control the movement. So if you were able to do this, you need something to help out to make sure that everything is stable. That's what the antagonist job is to do. So showing you all this is good and fine, but that doesn't necessarily translate. I mean, I throw a bunch of names at you. Doesn't really mean anything, right? What I'm going to have you do is bring your wrist up and down like that and put your hand right here. Feel around a little bit. You are going to feel on this side, these are the flexors. Just by doing this back and forth, you're going to be able to feel the muscles that are working in here. These are the muscles that would restrict movement if we're extending the wrist. And then if we flip over, we're going to extend the wrist, bring the hand up, and this time put your hand on your arm here. And you're going to be able to feel those extensors. So that's what we're talking about. All the little muscles in here, the muscles that make this motion happen, the muscles that make this motion happen. So let's go ahead and test your passive range of movement. I am going to take your hand and your arm, so I'll be supporting you the whole time and just gently moving you through those little exercises. So we'll just take you up, down, up, down. Okay, let's go outwards, inwards, external. Okay, and I'm just going to roll the hand in and then out. Okay. Other side, up, down, up, down, out and in. Okay, rotating in and rotating out. All right, and about those strength tests, we're going to start. I'm just going to have you have your arm flat here, and I'm going to push down on your fingers. I want you to resist me pressing them down, so hold against my pressure. Okay, go ahead and hold. Good. I'm going to try to press up. You hold. Hold. Good. I'm going to try to press them outwards. Hold. I'm going to try to press in. Hold. Okay. Can you bring your fist up? I'm going to try to press it down here. Good. And if you could bring your fist down, and I'm going to try to press it up. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and do that with the other arm. So, hand flat. I'm going to try to press down. You just hold here. I'll try to press up. You hold. Try to press out. You hold. I go in. You hold. Okay. Make a fist. Bring it into extension. I'm going to try to press it down. Okay. Bring it into flexion, and I'm going to try to press up. Okay, so let me just note down here. So the issue here is with restriction, and we are going to be focusing on our antagonist muscles, namely the flexors in the anterior part of the arm we had gone over. Okay. So with structural bodywork, there is a specific procedure that we do with any sort of muscle groups. Where we do it just depends on what issue we're having and what muscles are acting up. So because we're dealing with the antagonists, we're going to be working into the anterior part of the arm, the inside forearm, and let me show you what those 5 steps entails. So if we look at the arm here, we talked about our flexors being our antagonists, so we're going to be working on this side. And the very first step in our procedure is going to be static pressure on the muscles here, on the muscle bellies. So I can do this with the back of my hand or with the front of my hand, especially the heel of my hand. That gives some good pressure. And what we're doing is we are going to be pressing in for a bit until we feel the softening, and then we move. And I can also get a little more targeted and use my thumb as well. Now, the next step is going to be some passive range of movement while I'm doing this. So we'll have the edge of the table here. Your hand's going to be off the table. And I'm going to be moving it, so we'll be doing extension. As I'm pressing in here, I'll also be moving your hand like this off the table. So we get that static pressure and the range of movement. Our third step is going to be bringing your action into it. So I'll be pressing in, and you'll be the one who will be moving very slowly your hand up and down off the table. And this motion, this sort of procedure, can restrict the movement here. So you'll just do the best that you can. And then we'll do some active resistance, which is similar to a muscle energy technique where I will hold your hand to the point of resistance and I'll have you push against me with about 10 to 20% of your strength. And we'll do that for 8 seconds. So it'll look something like me holding this here, you pressing against with a little bit of strength, so that isometric contraction, and then releasing. Ideally, when we go back, there's going to be more range of movement there. There's going to be less of a restriction. The very last thing we'll do is do some stretching. So if we just left it there, your body may not recognize that you now have a wider range of movement. So we'll just stretch. We'll stretch the wrists so that your body gets the message that it has a bigger, pain-free range of movement in the wrist here. So the first step we're going to do on your arm is we're going to do that static pressure. So I'm going to use my knuckles here, and we're going to press in. And this is going to be a good firm pressure. Let me know if it is painful at all. And I'm just going to be moving around a bit and pressing in these different areas. It might be a little sore. And we'll just work like this for a little bit. And depending on how the muscles react depends on how long I'm in here for. So generally it's about 8 to 30 seconds each. Sometimes it can go up to a minute. But really, we're not waiting for any preset sort of time. Instead, I'm feeling for when the muscle fibers start to soften and start to yield. Okay, good. Luckily with these big muscles, you can feel them pretty well even under the knuckles. A little less sensitive with the palm of the hand and the heel. But as I press down on here, can you feel any sort of, if you wiggle your fingers a little, does it feel kind of strange? Yeah, it almost, not quite tingling, but almost like when you hit the back of your elbow and you get that kind of singing feeling. That's almost what it feels like. But that's good. We'll work on that and reduce that tension. And the joints themselves, overall, they look pretty good. It doesn't seem to be real locked up. And I didn't see any swelling, any hyperflexibility. And you didn't happen to be, I mean, I probably would have seen this, but like as a kid you weren't double jointed, right? Yeah. It's cool for tricks, but at least when you're a kid, but not so much when you get older. Okay. So things are really starting to soften here. I just want to make sure, just because we've got such long muscles in this area, I want to make sure we get all those parts. And this helps warm it up a little too. Oh, not a little sore? Okay. That's a good thing to know. Yeah. I'm just working along the muscles here. And I can even, there we go. If I work in with just my thumb, is that pretty sore? Yeah. Yeah, we get a little bit more targeted. So we'll do that. And then it'll get a little more fun when we're able to do the range of movement. Because it'll feel a little odd, especially with the active range of movement. Because when I tell you to do a certain movement, it's going to be kind of hard to do it. So it may not look like you're doing much at all, even though you're really trying to. Not a little tender too? Yeah. Yeah. It's softening up quite a bit, though. These areas are pretty, if I press in on him, they've got a lot of give to them, which is good. So we are going to bring in some of the passive range of movement. One of my hands is going to be doing that static pressure, while the other hand is going to be moving your hand up and down here. So if I could just take your hand, okay? And as I'm pressing in, I'm just going to be bringing the wrist up, bring the wrist down, okay, back up, and down here, up. How does that feel? Up. Okay. Do let me know if it's too much, if the pressure is too much. Down, up, down, up. Slowly getting rid of this muscle tension. Down, up. Good. Up, down. Good. We'll slowly, bit by bit, start to get a little more movement in there, especially in our later steps. These just keep building upon themselves. Our static pressure is our foundation, and then we just keep bringing in more layers. Good. Okay, now what I want you to do here is this time we're going to have you move in the same way that I was moving you. Okay, so you're going to bring your wrist down and extend it, bring it back up, down. Okay? You could just move the wrist down, back up. I'll do my static pressure, and you just keep doing that nice and slow. Okay, that's going to be the key here. Just easy and slow. There you go, just a little slower. There we go. So, does it feel a little difficult trying to extend the wrist like that? Yeah, that's where it can get a little goofy. Just because whatever muscle I'm working on won't let you do that all the way. There we go. Good. Okay. Now we're going to do that bit of active resistance, that sort of muscle energy sort of technique. So I am going to hold your hand here and bring it to the point of restriction right about here. What I'm going to have you do is you are going to use about 10 to 20% of your strength, and you're going to press against my hand. We'll do that for about 8 seconds, right? I got your hand in position here. If you could press back against me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Good, and relax. And then I'm going to bring your hand up and then back, and we should get a little more of a spot, a little more movement here, and go ahead and press against my hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, relax. Let's do that one more time. So we'll bring it to the point of restriction. We get a little more. And go ahead and press against me. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. Okay. So now we're just going to give this arm some stretching so that we can let the body know that you have a bigger range of movement, that it's not painful, that it can work with this. So I'm just going to bring your hand back a bit, back and forth, almost like the passive range of movement testing here. Good. We'll just give it some stretch, let it go. Give it some stretch, let it go. How is this feeling for you? Is there any pain here? Maybe just a touch sore? Yeah, on your arms. Yes, you'll probably notice that for a day, maybe 2, but I doubt it. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and work with the other arm, and then we'll retest your range of movement after that. So this one wasn't as bad. We're going to do our static pressure. And just press into our flexors, backs of my hands. Good. I can see the imprint of my fingers on your arms a couple seconds after I move. Good. How are we doing here? Yeah, a little less sore. That's good. So we'll just keep pressing in. And allow everything to soften up. So we might think about doing this, I would say, if you are pretty committed to stretching the area, maybe let's do about 3 times a day. Then I would say maybe once a week. And we'll do that a few times just to make sure that your body doesn't go back into those old habits of restriction. Sometimes it does do that. It gets used to doing things one way. And even though the horizons have opened a little bit, it still just very slowly gets stuck in that groove. So, and if you're not super on top of the stretching, or if it starts to go back into the restriction pretty quickly, then maybe we can do twice a week. Just gonna keep my thumb now in these areas. Oh, got a spot right there. I can feel that. That's pretty tense. We'll just hold on here for a bit. Good. Okay. Then let go. You just got to spend a little time with these things. That's the good thing and the unfortunate thing about working with the body is a lot of it is just time. And that's frustrating. But at the same time, that's also kind of great. Just takes a little bit of patience and we can fix a lot of things. Okay, so let's do that passive range of movement. I'm going to press in on the arm. I'm going to take your hand and we're going to just stretch it down. Good, stretch it down. Good, and down, and down. There we go. How's this feeling? Not too bad. Okay. Good, down, down. There we go. This one's, just a lot more pliable, which is good. Is this your non-dominant hand? Dominant hand? Okay. Oftentimes our dominant can be a lot more locked up just because it gets so much more use, which means there's more room for things to get a little goofy. Now I'm going to have you do that motion. So go ahead and bring the wrist down. Good, down. Nice and slow, just like that. Good. Very good. All right. We'll just keep pressing in here. This has gotten pretty pliable, pretty flexible. I imagine it won't be too difficult for everything to just kind of relax. Good. Good. Now let's go ahead and do that muscle energy. So I'm going to take the hand, bring it down to our restriction, and you use 10 to 20% of your strength to push back. Okay? Go ahead and push. We'll hold. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And relax. And we'll bring it back and push. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Let it relax. And one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Might want to just give the wrist a shake there. Alright, so a little bit of stretch in action here. Just bring the fingers back, relax, bring them back, relax. Just stretching and holding, letting it relax. We're just gently allowing the restriction to dissolve. We're not hacking away at it, just letting it melt down. Okay, another bit of stretching. Then we can retest our range of movement. We'll do passive first, and then active. Okay. Let me see that first hand. And just like we did before, I'm going to move the wrist up, down, side, side. Oh, big crack there. And bring it in and out. Okay, other side. We'll go up, down, in, out, rotate in, there we go, rotate out. Excellent. So, can you do that for me now? Bring your hands up, down, up, down, in, out, rotate in, rotate out. Alright, can you clench the fist and bring it up? Down, up, down. Okay, good. Okay, so does that feel different to you then? Does that feel like maybe you've got a little bit more give in the extension? Okay, a little bit. Okay, good. So if you want to just a few times a day, just stretch your hands, and really I would recommend doing more stretches than that, but at the very least, just stretching this, allowing it to go its full range so that it doesn't try to bring that restriction back in. And if you want to, you can also give yourself a little massage in here if it gets sore. And that can help from that restriction starting back up again. but definitely the stretching at least a few times a day. And if you think you can keep on that pretty easily, we can go ahead and maybe make an appointment for another week from now. If you think you might be a little lax with it, then we can do another appointment within the week. Okay. So you go ahead and talk over that with the receptionist, and we are all good here. So I'd like to thank you so much for coming in today for this structural bodywork session. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night. Thank you.